Hey there and good evening, everybody. It is 7:41, almost 42 p.m. and we wanted to do a live update for you for some of the traffic and travel updates that we're seeing, as well as those temperatures that are starting to drop.
Absolutely, Cassie. We have a lot to get to. First of all, we do want to do a little extra. How are you doing? I mean, just a very incredible snow day across East Tennessee, very impactful, and we will get right to it. First of all, 10 Weather Impact Day continues tonight and through Tuesday and Wednesday. We've had the heavy snow impacts on the roads, which you're about to hear Cassie talk about, and now the frigid temperatures coming our way. So we'll get to all that in a moment. The impact on the roads, Cass, has been unfortunately impressive, and not in a good way. Very hazardous.
No, it hasn't. So let's go ahead and take that look at our traffic travel on Max 2 right now. We have a lot of orange showing up on our roadways and a lot of red showing up as well, particularly on I-75 and I-40 across the area. So I'll show you a few of those TDOT cameras here coming up in just a moment, but I really want to draw your attention to the fact that those major roads are the ones that are showing up in the orange right now, because that's where we actually have travel at this time. We're going to go ahead and show you a zoomed in view though of I-75 northbound going north out of Knoxville. On the right hand side, just north of the 640 loop, you can actually see, I'll point at it right here, we've got some red on both sides of the road right here. That's the accident that I'm going to show you in just a moment. And then we have more red up here. So there might be a secondary accident a little farther to the north where we don't have a TDOT camera located right now. But here's the first one. This is at I-75 near Callahan, and the interstate has officially been closed. This is due to a multi-vehicle wreck that is at mile marker 109.8 in Knox County. Again, that's right near the Callahan Drive exit. It involves a jackknife tractor trailer. That's what you're seeing there. But again, additional vehicles are involved, and I-75 is currently closed at that location at this time. Notice that the northbound side is closed. The southbound side is moving along at this point in time, but we're starting to see that back up. And really, this is the key thing. First and foremost, don't go out on the roads tonight if you do not absolutely have to. And if you do, be prepared for a situation like this. Bring snacks, bring water, make sure you have a full tank of gas, maybe a blanket with you if you need to, because you could get stuck in a situation where you are in one place for a very long time if there's an accident like this that shuts down one of those major roadways. We're also seeing, well, that's new. That is, let me refresh this and see if we're still working here. Let me reload that. Okay, that has been reloaded. It looked like there was a semi that got stuck for a second there. This is Alcoa Highway at Cherokee. That is where we obviously have slick conditions, and when we initially saw that camera, you could see a tractor trailer that obviously was having some issues getting up that road. We're also seeing, let's look at Hall of Fame at Summit Drive. You're gonna see some moments of black while I load these cameras for you here. This is actually going to be I-40 at Hall of Fame, and you can see the overpass on the left-hand side. Notice how that is completely snow-covered and looks relatively deep. The on and off ramps are extremely slushy, and the overpasses are completely covered at this point. So those are areas to avoid. Again, if you don't have to be out on the roadways, please don't be, because we are seeing these messy travel conditions all across the area. We'll go back up here to, as I mentioned, Hall of Fame and Summit Hill Drive. And the road's completely covered here because, again, this is an elevated surface. So you've got that cold air going underneath. The ground is colder. The road treatments aren't working in these areas. I'm not even sure that TDOT has plowed in these areas recently. But again, we've got snow-covered roads, so please try to avoid that. Then we'll go down to, let's do Pellissippi and Kingston Pike. Yep. Not looking so great out there. Again, basically just one lane of travel at this point. These look like official vehicles that are traveling. Otherwise, it looks pretty good that most people are not out on the roads. Westland Drive along Pellissippi, not loading. There it goes at the moment. But again, notice how covered the roads are. And think about the hills and the curves. That's going to be tough to navigate. And if you start sliding, it's going to be tough to regain control of your vehicle. So again, please do not go out if you do not have to. We'll look at I-40 and Cherry Street. This is another area where we had an accident earlier today, but it looks like at least one lane. I can see the lines on the road, so that's a good sign. You want to try to stay in the tire tracks of the person that was in front of you or into the clearer areas. Try to stay out of the slush if you can and leave that extra space between you and the car in front of you. And then the final place I'm going to show you is a little bit farther out to the west along I-40 here, where we go out to, let's see, I'm taking my pick here. Well, we have the Holston River Bridge. We're going to skip that. Okay, let me see if I can figure out where that is. Well, I'm close. I'm going to go with Bridgewater here first. So Bridgewater also showing where we have a lot of that backup or a lot of the slush, really chunky. This is where I can't see down to the road. I can't see the lines in that area. And then we're also going to go down to Weisgarber as well. So this is kind of near the paper mill area. Ew. Yeah, that's no good. Look at those ruts that we're seeing right there. Take it slow. If you have to be out on the roads, leave that extra space between you and the car in front of you, because again, you're not going to be able to stop quickly and you're not going to want to try to maneuver quickly. So that's a little bit about what we've got going on as far as road conditions. And then another update is that as of 7 p.m. tonight, the airport has shut down. McGee-Tyson. They have halted operations for the remainder of the evening. They've closed the airport at this point. If you had travel plans, you will be contacted by your airline regarding your flight, and they will come in early tomorrow morning to start preparing for tomorrow's flights. But I would definitely recommend checking in tomorrow if you can ahead of time, or calling ahead of time to see if you even need to brave the roads to head out to the airport in the morning if you have one of those early morning flights. Now, the snow has been very impressive where it has snowed, but other parts of our viewing area haven't seen as much in the way of the heavy snowfall. So let's go ahead back over to Max 1 now to talk about some of the snow scenes that we have around the area, including Market Square. This is really impressive as far as the totals that we've seen today.
Oh my goodness, Cass, it really is. You and I were talking about, just kind of tell us straight.
I'll get out of the way so you can see it behind me.
No, that's fine. Normally, you know, there's a box that's enclosed. You kind of see a little bit of that right here, and you have a drop off around the tree, right? So, but right now there's no gradient, as it's all even, as the snow is that deep in Market Square. Cassie and everybody. Interesting, while you were doing that all-important traffic hit, Cass, looked at some new high-risk guidance, and we may not be done with the accumulating snowfall just yet. They're still trying to bring in a back edge that's going to go through this evening, and so it may take a little bit longer for some of the wintry precipitation to wind down. Did get a report that it's now heavy snow falling in parts of southern Blount County, and some of the areas that were seeing the rainfall earlier now are seeing some of that snowfall. So some of those different details that we'll certainly get to, but that is a beautiful wintry scene. Hope you're enjoying this snowfall and snow day. I've been, probably got like 90-something text messages I still got to catch up on from friends and family members. And I'm looking at our grandkids been out and about, my boys out and about having fun, so I look up to catching on all that. I think everybody's enjoyed this snowfall day, and I hope you've had a good, safe day. Enjoyed it with your family and friends and neighbors, etc. So here's what we're seeing from downtown. 27 degrees right now. Feels like 19 outside. So now we're going to start adding in the wind and the cold to this winter storm equation, if you will. We've gotten the steady, moderate to occasionally heavy snowfall, and basically it snowed, let's see, for 10 hours straight in Knoxville. Now, we're going back to last night and early this morning, we had a couple inches or so, and then it stopped briefly. But from basically 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., it was snowing steadily in Knoxville, and during that time frame, we measured on our porch between 9 and 10 inches of snow. Between 9 a.m. and, that goes back since it first flake. That goes back to last evening. So total from Sunday night through tonight at 7 p.m. But again, other than that, 10 hours straight of steady snowfall. Had a little bit of a break. Now we're starting to see some more of that light precipitation moving back in. I'll look at radar in just a moment. These are current temperatures, and here's what we're looking at. Again, we are seeing that gradient. You're near freezing, still above freezing in Greenville, but below freezing Morristown, Dandridge, close to it Pigeon Forge, and below freezing Maryville, and at freezing in Athens. So north of this line, that's where we're seeing and continue to see below freezing temperatures. But this area of cold temperatures is continuing to work its way south. So again, if you're watching us in Blount and Sevier counties, again, we've already talked about that changeover to some heavier snow is working its way southward. And here's the concern for all of us tonight. Again, the very cold temperatures are likely tonight, and it's going to get even colder as we go tonight, tomorrow, and especially tomorrow night and Wednesday morning. We're going to bottom out in these cold, frigid Arctic temperatures in this Arctic air mass by Wednesday morning. and it's still going to be cold into Wednesday night, Thursday morning. It may take until Thursday afternoon until we get above freezing. So lows tonight on the plateau. Look at that. 5 in Crossville, 6 in Jamestown. But here's one of the biggest concerns. The areas that have seen the rain and mixed precipitation and not as much snow and a lot of water, well, look at your lows tonight. I mean, just, use your imagination, right? You take all that water, and now you're seeing the sleet and some snow, and you're still going to have a chance for that through early morning tomorrow on top of ice. That water's going to freeze, rapidly freeze. We call that a flash freeze. And this is going to be a big concern, obviously, for the roads and travel, and highly recommend not traveling tonight across most areas. Cassie?
I was going to say the National Weather Service used the words black ice likely in coverage tonight across the area. So, I mean, that's very strong wording coming from the National Weather Service office.
Absolutely.
So we're going to have the slick conditions in the areas where there's snow and cars have gone over the same areas and it gets packed. That gets really slippery. And then the areas that are wet with that flash freeze also going to be icy. I mean, we've had a lot of folks messaging us and asking, when are the roads going to start to improve? And the answer is not tonight. Yeah. It's probably not going to be until the sun comes up tomorrow. The treatment starts to kind of maybe get a little bit, start to work. Plows are able to do a little bit more work. But honestly, with a radar like that and so much snow still coming in, when we say don't go on the roads, we absolutely mean it. By the way, also no ATVs on the roads. We've had a problem with that apparently around Knoxville with a crew that's having fun on ATVs on the interstates. Absolute no-no. Number one, illegal. And number two, yes.
Oh, that's a double or triple no right there.
That's no on so many levels. Don't even do it because,
I mean, hard no.
We're talking about vehicles that are out of control, semi-trucks having accidents. You don't want to be on an ATV and encounter the 18-wheeler. So please just don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Thank you, Cass. Absolutely. And to your point, and you just did an excellent job showing us the different views on TDOT and the traffic update, and that helps us all see. And Mark Nagy at TDOT gave us a great update earlier, and they're working really hard. But I think what Mark said as well, you know what? The treatments, they don't only last so long, number one. You have to retreat. So they're constantly having to go back over and retreat, and they're doing a great job of that. But also the salt, sodium chloride mixture, they can use a lot. They have chemists involved here. They're using a lot of different chemicals, different combination of different things to try to make it work. Some of those chemicals only work best in certain temperatures. The colder you get, the less effective a lot of those are. And so they have to go and use a lot of different things. So you're going to see a combination of some of those chemicals being put down, and then you're probably seeing the sand and the granular salt. And that's to help at least get some traction. So they're doing a combination of treatments and that plan of treatments on the interstate. But they have to go back and retreat. And when you get down so cold and you got the icy layer underneath and we still got more snow falling, that's the concern. All right, let's talk about this on radar. Wow. And Cass, feel free to chime in. I mean, it took a long time to develop, but Blount in Sevier County, oh boy.
You'll finally get your snow.
Oh boy. And it's going to rapidly go down. I mean, you're at freezing and below. Maryville, you're 28, and it's got to be looking like a wintry postcard saying you had 3 inches of snow in Maryville earlier. So now you got sleet, snow mixed in. There may be a little freeze and rain mix. We're showing a little pocket of mixing. And there's still some, what happened earlier today, the reason it was rain, there was warmer air that came in up the eastern sections of the mountains and foothills, all the way in, really from parts of North Georgia and western North Carolina in this zone right here. Generally speaking. That's the zone that got the warm nose. We kind of talked about this a little bit last night. Now, I'll be honest, I think it went a little further north than it was expected. It was kind of expected to stay in southeast Tennessee and maybe the mountains and foothills in this general area. I think it got on up into Cock and Greene counties a little further north maybe than expected. But the very same thing that caused the rain was the very same thing that created and caused the heavy snow. Warm air is energy, lift, and where that warm nose stopped, all the locations to the north that stayed in the cold air, look outside. And that's what we got, heavy snow. Again, 9 to 10 inches of snow, and it's not done yet. We'll have some more snow bands. So here's what we're looking at. Let me take all this off the screen. So right now, let me see if I can stop the radar for the very latest. I'll try to do that for you. This is a different scene. It just wants to keep going for me. It's all right. Anyway, so that's what we're looking at. We've got the darker blue bands. That's what we're seeing. And where you see the darker blue, that's heavy snow. So that's what we're talking about in Blount and Sevier counties. Heavy snow. Got another batch. It's starting to snow again lightly and coming back in. We had some big time flakes. When was that? About 7 o'clock or just 6:45 to 7?
Flakes?
Big flakes coming down?
Right about then, yeah.
Yeah,
Between
somewhere in there.
6:45 and 7, yeah.
Yeah, 6:45 to 7. And my wife also texted me at a certain location in Knox County, but she said, we have huge flakes coming down. Yeah, that was impressive. And so anyway, we've got more of the snow showers coming our way. And I'm going to show you now a different radar view so we can talk a little bit more about that. And again, there you see the different shading. Now I can stop this particular radar view. So here's what I wanted to point out. Sevier County, Pigeon Forge, you've got some moderate to heavy snow. It's mixed in Blount County, but just messy. Sleet, maybe some freezing rain, near rain, but then more snow coming in. So it's all going to be frozen from Monroe, Blount, Sevier, into Cock and Greene counties. And again, it's just a dynamic system, very strong system. But a lot of it, this has not been like the Blizzard 93. It's not this huge low pressure system at all. There's no surface low pressure directly tied to it, if you will. It's all been elongated, convoluted flow and overrunning over a frontal boundary. And an upper level trough is not even going to pass through until later tomorrow and tomorrow night and early Wednesday. So it's fascinating how we got here. It's one of those unique events. So here we go. Here, and I believe this is updated, our high-res model. I'll try to go back and we'll just walk through it here. So this is coming up at 8 p.m. right now. That model's not doing too good, is it? Because we got snow in Blount, Sevier County, so it may not have initialized well. But back to 9 and 10 p.m., you can still see it coming back from Spring City to Oak Ridge. And there's a look at 10 to 11 p.m. We've still got the snow going from Spring City, Lure City, Knoxville, and you got that mix, and it's 11 p.m. It's still pretty much snowing. I tell you what it looks like. The model may be a little slow to catch on of a changeover. Arctic Air will do that. It overperforms, gives you more snow. Look at that. That's after midnight, snowing still, most areas still. That back edge from Spring City to Oak Ridge, there's 2 a.m. Now here's where it starts to break up, if this model's correct. Again, it's just a computer model forecast. For the most part, I mean, we still got a chance to go 2, 3, 4 a.m. Eastern areas, you're still looking at your wintry precip. Now, what's going on here, where you see the pink, this is not from warmer air. It's plenty cold the rest of tonight, pretty much all areas. We're going to be dropping. This is the depth of moisture is lowering in the atmosphere, and it's getting out of the growth zone to make a snowflake. To make an ice crystal, a snowflake, you have to have sufficient depth of moisture way up in the atmosphere, way up in the cloud. So this is basically freezing drizzle. Again, just because of little super cool droplets is what it is technically. Making freezing drizzle. And so that's just going to add up on top of whatever we see. So that's not the warming. No, we're not getting above freezing basically from this point until early Thursday afternoon. That's our projections. And even then, we may only be in the mid to upper 30s with a chance for another wintry mix Friday. We'll focus on that later. So that's a look at the big picture. Again, just to show you for comparison, 28 in Knoxville, 52 in Atlanta. Look at Jackson, Mississippi. See, this is the slanted nature of this cold Arctic air mass. Let me take you to Texas. Look at that. We don't have numbers showing here. It's a different map, but it's all the way down to South Texas. Look at Louisiana. So Jackson, Mississippi is colder than we are. You see how it's slanted. This front is northeast to southwest, and so that front is kind of slanted back like this. And so you have all this warmer air that's well out ahead of it. And so, yeah, our neighbors to our south, we have family members in North Georgia. They're still waiting to see their first snowflake. Hardly anything to our south and east. So as we were talking about before, this is mainly a Mid-South and Tennessee snowstorm. A little bit in Kentucky, more into our south, but a lot of it, we've been the winners. Look at the current feels like temperature. It feels like 20 in Knoxville, 2 in Nashville, 5 below in Memphis, 0 in Paducah, 3 below in St. Louis, 13 below in Kansas City. And all this is moving in our direction. So here's a look at the wind that's coming in our direction. Let me see if I can pull that up for you as far as the actual winds that we're looking at. Again, we are going to be talking about some low wind chills that will be with us as we go into the coming days, and very cold temperatures as well. So let me try to bring that up for you. Here's a look at just the current wind speed. These are wind gusts, actually. So some of those stronger winds, kind of from Memphis to Tupelo, Jackson, back up to Missouri. Nothing too unusual, but just any wind. It's going to be very strong. All right, if you hear that, looks like it's time for some house cleaning. But meanwhile, here's what we're looking at as far as our 24-hour temperature trend. Look at this. So, we're going to only be in the 20s for highs tomorrow. Back this up just a little bit. Yeah, we'll try to get into the low to mid 20s. I think we're forecasting 23. It's basically pick a number because of cold air mass. And then we'll be dropping into the teens tomorrow evening. And then here we go. We got a 3. Lower single digits. And guess what? This is very similar type air, unfortunately, to what we saw in December 2022. You remember that, right? Right. We had a lot of pipes busted. Now, keep in mind, we had 2 mornings in a row of 4 degrees in Knoxville. Some areas were colder. We had 3.5 days. It was, what was that make? 84 hours of below freezing temperatures. That'll do it. We did not get above freezing for 3.5 days. Now, here's the concern. If you go back, and at least in parts of Knox County and other areas to last night, Sunday night, if we stay below freezing until early Thursday afternoon, that's going to be about the same amount of time to be below freezing. So it's not necessarily the how cold, although that obviously plays a role. It's the duration of cold. How long are you below freezing? So if you get multi-days below freezing, that's what tends to bust the pipes. Huh, Cass?
Which along those lines, when we're talking about multiple days of cold air,
come on in, Cass.
Come on in and up to this level. One of the things we're talking about when we talk about this extended period of cold is school closures. So because of the roads, obviously they're horrible tonight and we don't want anybody out. Right. That's why schools are going to be closed tomorrow morning because of that.
Yeah.
Many school systems have already gone ahead and closed for Wednesday as well in anticipation of, number one, the roads still being a mess, especially in some of the more rural areas.
Right.
Because of these cold temperatures that are in place.
We're still below freezing Wednesday, right?
Yeah, we're still below freezing on Wednesday. So also with the bitterly cold air that Todd was just talking about on Wednesday morning, they don't want kids out at a bus stop when frostbite can set in less than 30 minutes.
So coming up here.
So Tuesday and Wednesday, widespread closures across our area. If you are curious about whether your district is closed, WBIR.com/closings. There's an S at the end.
Yep.
That website updates as soon as we get the information and can input the data.
You don't have to F5 refresh. It automatically updates.
And I cannot read you those because it is this long. I'm not even kidding. There is so much information in there, so just keep scrolling.
You know what we could do is just show who's open. It's just a joke.
Because there's nobody.
Everybody's going to people close.
So there's a lot of closures on Tuesday and Wednesday, and it's important to remember, for example, Knox County.
Yeah.
We may have the main roads like I-75 and I-40 and 441 and all of those major roads. They may be clear by the time we get into Wednesday or even Tuesday afternoon. And you may be looking around and being like, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
And the problem is Knox County has a lot of variety of geography.
Yeah.
And there are roads that just don't get treated, or they are not paved,
right,
or they're shaded all the time. And those are the roads that are going to stay packed with snow.
Yeah. Your GPS may say, just a green, and you got to go somewhere, and then you're like, oh, I need to turn right, and your GPS may have a red road.
Yeah.
Like,
close.
No.
Don't do it.
Snow cover, don't do it. So it's like, but I want to go. No. So that's the type of scenario.
Yeah.
They're going their priority system, interstates, major thoroughfares, get the most treatment first, and then there's the tiered hierarchy of priority. So they'll get to the lower, but
they're not TDOT's not responsible for every road in the state.
No.
Then that goes to your local officials, and then local officials are also not responsible for some of those roads. So the bottom line is,
then it's up to your homeowners association rep. Everybody in the neighborhood has that person, right?
Yeah.
Hey Joe, just totally says, just thought I'd know. We need you to go get your Bobcat. And we lived in a neighborhood one time, and Joe did a great job. I'm just making up that name, but keeping our neighborhood entrance clear. So hopefully, you have somebody like that you can use.
Yeah. So all that to be said, Knox County may be out for longer than what you're seeing in your area, because of another area that's being,
that's a good point,
more highly impacted by this. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we're all being impacted differently by this event.
Right.
Just be kind. Be courteous, extend grace to those around you, help your neighbors. This is a tough event for a lot of folks, and in a lot of cases, this is the most snow we've had in one day since the blizzard of '93. And I say that because a lot of people remember that day, and they're like, wow, it is not the blizzard of '93. We don't have that much snow, but it is the most that we've had in 30 years. And so that's why it's important for us to remember how impactful that system was.
Right.
That's what we're seeing from this one too.
And Cassie, great point. And we have to throw in there a slight bit of an asterisk. in Knoxville. We'll have to wait and see what the airport officially.
Yeah.
That's
our official
all
climate
the
site.
official climate weather records are kept at McGee Tyson Airport. And, let's just say we've had double the amount of snow that the airport's seen here at Channel 10, North Knoxville, off 1513 Bill Williams Avenue, Broadway.
So we'll see.
So we'll see. Cassie, back to your point, these are wind chill values. There's a wind chill advisory in effect now for Cumberland and Fentress that's going to be in effect through Wednesday morning. We'll likely see more wind chill advisories coming.
Yeah.
I think. I don't say it lightly, but if we get some of these values, our criteria, if you get down between -5, -15, you're in wind chill advisory criteria. That's kind of the forecast for Wednesday morning.
The other part is, whether there's an advisory or not, it's dangerously cold. So just plan on it. Whether there's an advisory issued or not, it's going to be dangerously cold.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
You don't need an advisory to very
tell you that.
Dangerously cold. Don't go out and stay inside if you can, and da. So that's the forecast, and then still
can
below.
we go to the 7-day real quick?
Yeah.
I want to look at a big picture, something real big.
Oh, sure.
For 1 second. So we're talking about how long we're below freezing.
Yeah.
And talking about the melting and freezing cycle.
Right.
So tomorrow we'll probably see sunshine at some point later in the day, not widespread sun, but maybe breaks in the clouds. And so you do have solar insolation, but it's January.
Right.
So you have a super low sun angle.
Right.
That solar insolation, even if it's cloudy, is going to do some melting.
Right.
But then look at overnight, Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, we go down the single digits, the wind chill's well below zero. So everything freezes again.
Yeah.
Wednesday, we're probably going to have beautiful sunshine.
Right.
Even at 30 degrees, you're going to have melting.
Right.
And then we're going to freeze again on Wednesday night into Thursday morning.
We'll go freeze again.
So you got to get those roads cleared while you have the opportunity to during the warmest time of the day.
Right.
Because every night we're going to go back through that freeze or thaw freeze cycle again. All the way even to Thursday morning. It's not until Thursday afternoon that we're forecast to get back above freezing.
Exactly. And I tell you what, I don't necessarily have to do this now. I was going to do it while we're talking. That 40 on probably not. I may change that like to 38 or something like that. It's probably going to be in the 30s. That was an earlier projection, and we'll get to our extended forecast coming up. But, speaking of which, there is another system that gives us a chance for at least a wintry mix. Too early to say how much. I mean, we're watching different models. We've been keeping an eye on that a little bit. It does look to be much colder again by the weekend. And the one thing I'll say, for if you don't like the really cold air and you're not a huge fan of the snow, this is
not going to move
perhaps
for you.
not going to move. It's that type of, no. Here we go. Here comes your last week of January. There's expected to be.
Here, I'll get out of the way in case you can't see that map behind me. Oh, I was probably standing in front of your 7-day too. Sorry, guys.
No, you're fine. No, there's expected to be a good thaw look at that for much of the country. So, and especially in the east. So, yeah, we're seeing, probably we're going to be able to look back and say that mid-January winter storm system was probably the most impactful. You'd probably think at this point, we'll have to see what the rest of winter brings. Yeah, exactly. I know what Todd said. But
knock
more
on
than
the wood,
likely,
knock on the
probably the most
plexiglass.
impactful snow and cold we've seen that we saw this winter. So we'll be able to look back, but then we'll have a thaw. One quick point back at the 7-day, that 30 degrees on Wednesday with snow on the ground, you know this well because you spent some time in Colorado. You can speak to this. Or if you go skiing on a sunny day. That you may feel like going out in short sleeves. Number one, we're going to be so cold beforehand, and going from 5 to 30. Going from 5 to 30 will feel good. But the sun, as it reflects off the snow, we'll have to see if the winds calm down, may actually feel good. This is just a total side note. It's neither here nor there otherwise. But as Cassie said, the problem, and so that'll help, maybe some melting, but not for long. We're back into the crust and the ice and the very messy conditions. And, if folks are wondering about, we got 10 weather impact day for the next 2 days. We'll have to see what schools do on Thursday, and we'll have to wait and see what we get on Friday.
That's what I was going to say. So looking ahead, because I've also had a lot of folks on social media being like, what about the next one? Yeah. Well, first of all, we're not done with this one yet. Yeah. Second of all, the same way that on Friday when we were looking at this one,
right,
we were talking about snowfall totals in the 1 to maybe 3 inch range. We woke up Saturday morning, and the models had just taken it through the roof with the totals that we were going to see, because that's when you start to get into the higher resolution range.
Right, exactly. There was that handoff, wasn't there?
Yeah, the handoff from the low. So we have multiple different types of models, some that see short-term, mid-length, and then long-term kind of thing. And the short-term ones are much higher resolution. They're more detailed, and they see things on a smaller scale.
Right.
So Thursday and Friday right now isn't in that range just yet.
Yeah.
So we don't have all the details about Thursday, Friday, and right now there's a question mark as to what type of precipitation we're going to be seeing. It could be rain.
Right.
It could be snow,
Yeah.
or it could be an in-between.
In between, it may be rain to snow, or
So just check back for updates.
just check back. It does not look to be in the same category or league of what we're seeing today. I mean, we're seeing very, very impactful. The most snow we've seen since the blizzard. I mean, this is a very impactful, long duration snowfall event. This would be a faster system, and not nearly it doesn't look like the amount of moisture. Now, but
all that to be said,
what if you
change.
get a few or several inches possible, followed by, it does look like more Arctic air. It's a quick shot, but another blast, it could be impactful and cause some more issues on the road. So
and so when we're talking about that, did you go over the pipes, plants, people thing?
No, I did not.
Okay, so talking about the
P's.
The P's of cold weather.
Let me see if I can pull that in here.
So we're going down into the single digits. Tomorrow night we're in the teens tonight, we're in the teens the next night. When we have a long duration cold event like that, just like last December or December of 2022, that can be a pipes bursting type of thing as well. Oh, look, what people have to dress for too.
I don't know if is that the one you wanted?
That works. No, we can talk about that. We can talk about that too.
Okay. Here's what you wanted.
That one. So we want to talk about people. You need to dress in layers, accessorize, avoid extended periods of time outdoors.
I'll let you
cover up your layers. Pets, obviously, bring them inside. They want warm shelter too. Make sure that they have water that is fresh and not frozen, because that's another thing. If you put a water bowl outside and you're like, good, with these temperatures, it's going to freeze.
Yeah, hockey puck.
They don't like that. I mean, pets like ice, but they also need water to stay hydrated. If you have any plants that will be killed by temperatures this cold, it doesn't matter if they're dormant right now or not. You need to try to cover them up.
That's a good point.
We talk about pipes. This is what we're talking about. So December of 2022, we saw a lot of burst pipes around here. You need to drip your pipes, probably
Especially
tonight, but especially tomorrow night.
You know what? Yes, what Cassie said. I started to hesitate at first, but guess what? The Cumberland Plateau, it depends on where you live.
Yeah.
You're at the single digits tonight. You need to be dripping your faucets on the plateau. And that's a great point you just made, actually. We made in the upper teens, in the valley, we're probably okay tonight. But if you're watching us on the plateau and any of the areas are going to be colder, and we can show that, you need to start that tonight. But all of us, especially the next 2 nights, particularly when we're talking single digits and lower teens.
Yeah.
And again, it's not just the single digit and the low teens.
It's the duration.
Sustained, multi-day, multi-night, below freezing temperatures. It get colder and colder and colder, then it bursts. And actually, in this case, it expands, and then it bursts.
Yeah. So just to go over the quick, brief science of it.
Yeah.
Why we say drip your pipes is because when water goes from a liquid form to a solid form, going from liquid to ice, it expands, and that's what can burst your pipes. If you keep water flowing through there, even if it's just a little bit of a drip, that keeps at least one spot where it's liquid, and so that lowers the chances of your pipes bursting.
Right.
And another thing you can do to help prevent that too is open your cabinet doors.
Right.
Because that lets the warmer air that's in your house get underneath the cabinets and kind of get around that portion of the pipes to at least help just a little bit there.
Right.
The last P, I've added this one. Normally we only do 4 Ps, but I like to include this 5th one.
But you put practice. That was good.
Practice your fire safety, because this is also the time where we hear a lot of reports of house fires.
Yeah.
And I know you need to do everything you can to stay warm. Some folks, that's a wood burning stove. Some folks, that's a fireplace. And others use space heaters.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing, please be very, very, very attentive to it. Keep it safe and away from any flammable objects, because, like I said, unfortunately, that's just something we see a lot of when it gets cold like this.
Yeah. Among other, we probably need one of the fire chiefs and the deputies to come on and give better information than what I'm aware of. But from what I understand, those space heaters, not near curtains, no blankets around, and what Cassie just said, no flammable objects, they need to be in the open. Nothing around that space heater that could possibly be flammable or catch fire. One quick thing I'll add about the pipes, this is a personal experience. Back in December 2022, I dripped our kitchen faucet, like drip it. Cold water. Hang with me a second. Our crawl space right underneath is on an outer wall, so our kitchen is on an exterior wall. And if that's the case, you really need to drip those types of faucets. Well, the cold water pipe stayed fine because I was dripping and tapping out of the cold water pipe.
Okay.
Well, ours is a 2-pipe system where it comes in. See, I have one control, but the 2 different pipes. Guess what happened to the hot water pipe? It froze. That's how cold it was. It froze.
So do you need to switch them back and forth?
So I have one control. Well, now if you have 2 different ones, Yes.
Drip from both.
Drip from both.
Interesting.
If you have a single, whatever you call it, the handle to do it, I would do it in between, lukewarm. You need to draw water from both the warm pipe and the cold pipe so that neither freeze. And if you're not sure, I just do lukewarm anyway. And you know one of the benefit of that? Your bill will be a little higher for the water and maybe the heat. You'll have warm water quicker when you get up in the morning if you're tapping. But anyway.
And it's going to be cheaper than a burst pipe is to fix, and less messy too.
Your bill, our bill, well, absolutely. I tell you, we had a good news. Our pipe did not bust. We were able, I realized what had happened, unfortunately, when I took it and it was dripping cold. I said, okay, I turned it over and I was going to wash my hand. And I turned it over to warm to wash my hand, nothing. And then it was like, heart hit floor. Oh no. But what happened was, and we took it, I turned it over to warm, hoping that maybe eventually it would work its way through. Guess what? And we had a high water bill. We went to family that day, came back. When I came in, walked in the kitchen, actually Lee saw this, warm water was absolutely flush. Now, I don't know how long it had been going. It may have been going for 2 or 3 hours, but it broke through.
It eventually melted from the backside, probably.
So anyway, I'm just sharing a personal experience that, hopefully that'll help you.
So I wanted to, let's give you one more look at the satellite and radar, kind of the big picture view here. So we've still got those bands of snow coming through. We're seeing a transition to snow in areas that haven't had it earlier. Maybe still some wintry mix down in parts of Blount County showing up in our system.
Right.
Widening out the view. Well, it's shifting east.
Slowly.
But I honestly think we're going to still see these patches of some heavier snow for another 4 hours probably, if I had to estimate at least.
Yeah, let's see, our model, I showed a minute ago, it was going, it even wanted to keep some of these, at least snow showers in general, going to like 2 a.m. It was going to linger at even 3, 4 a.m. in the eastern areas. So at least, exactly, if it's 4 hours, that's at least till midnight. It's showing that.
Yeah.
So, and you know, the difference, what's the difference between, 8, 9, it'll affect the final measurement. But also the most important thing is for those areas that didn't see as much, you still will have more of that snowpack and icy conditions to deal with. Even though you won't have as much as maybe what Knoxville got, you're going to have to deal with some, it could be even worse because you can actually get some traction on deep snow for a little bit, as long as you have to go up a hill, down a hill. I mean, to a certain extent, right? When you only have a little bit of snow and icy underneath, that's a different ballgame. That's harder to drive on because then your tires are making contact with the icy layer, skating rink versus nice packing traction snow. So sometimes it's better to get all or nothing, get a lot of snow instead of just a little bit.
Yep. So we're going to have continuing travel issues all night tonight and into the early morning hours of Tuesday. Just about everybody's closed tomorrow morning again, WBR.com/closings. It's about to get bitterly cold. So practice the P's of safety. And that's what's going on right now.
and have fun. You know, if you're going to have to go out and play, and if you want to go out and play and sled, and I recommend fun. A lot of people are having fun today. It was a great, perfect snow day. Not too much wind, not too cold. You got to start layering up tomorrow, though. I tell you what, the sledding is really, really good the next day after a snowfall. Because if you went down the hill today and that was good, you packed it down, try it tomorrow.
Go a lot faster.
See how fast you go. Your speed, you'll set a personal record probably tomorrow. And then Wednesday could also be very good, but it's going to be very cold. So, you got to cover exposed areas of skin on a serious note. Got to be layered up next couple of days. It is dangerous cold and low wind chills. You got to be prepared for it. And then go back inside, get warm, and we'll keep you updated.
We'll be here. All right, guys, be safe out there tonight.